Hey guys, Emily here with Curate the Details, and I'm starting an online business making concrete home decor and household items, and I'm sharing my journey here. I've mentioned before that I'm breaking my videos up into two parts. So one part is business related and one is mold making. Today I am sharing my mold making experience, namely my very first one. A little bit of background or history. So I decided that I wanted to make a decorative concrete sphere, and I wanted it to look nice on countertops, tabletops, shelves, things like that, but I didn't want it to roll away. I wanted it to have at least a flat enough bottom that it wouldn't move, but that it wasn't noticeable. So when I was trying to think through what should I use as my master to make the mold, I decided on wood. So I bought 3-inch birch balls from Amazon, okay? And what I did was, this is the one that I made the mold out of. And I don't know if you can see in this light, but I just sanded down a very little small portion so that it would stay flat. So once I decided on what I would use as my master, I needed to figure out what kind of silicone I would use. I really struggled with how to make a mold for this, so I made several phone calls over to Jim at Alumilite. Shout out to Jim, thank you so much. And we settled on giving a try with a 2-part mold. Now I had already purchased several trial units of different silicone molds. Most of them were incorrect. And, I'm still shaking my head as why I decided my very first mold making experience to make it a 2-part mold rather than a 1-part mold, but that's really a conversation for another day. In the meantime, this video is going to share my whole process, errors that I made, all that good stuff. I will say that I keep referring to this in the video as silicone mold, but it's not really silicone. It's Alumilite's Amazing Mold Rubber. So enjoy. So this is me making my mold box. I bought plexiglass and a little hand cutter. I had some foam core that I put it on, and then I used my glue gun. It was pretty rudimentary and not amazingly crafted, but it got the job done. I literally poured the liquid clay over the top. I had seen somewhere when it was partially dried, then it would just easily peel off. So I thought that would happen. That was not the case. And I got the opportunity to take a painstakingly long time to clean the birch ball free of all the monster clay. During attempt number 2, I was really focused on having a more steady hand and pouring it a lot better, which, as you can see here, started out really good. I'm not exactly sure what happened. There was some kind of gap or space, and as I started to fill the clay higher, you can see at the top there was like these little air gaps and spaces that I didn't really think would create problems, so I kept going with it. Unfortunately, it did create issues. I also don't think I should have picked up the mold box to move it around to make the clay level. I came back about 15-20 minutes later, and there was 2 big holes in the clay that I had to fill back up, and as a result it looked like this. Just ignore the 4 registration marks or holes. I'm talking about the 2 bumps on the left-hand side. When I filled the clay back up, I didn't make it even enough. So here's the tool that I used to make the 4 registration marks. It was way too thin, and I'm going to use something better next time. The whole experience of using monster clay I disliked extremely. I made such a mess with little drips of it everywhere, cleaning it off with little shaving pieces. So I'm just showing you the colossal mess that I created. And I'm definitely coming up with some alternative options to using clay for the next time I make this two-part mold. The first part of the mold went pretty smoothly for me. I didn't need any mixing cups. I used the entire container that you see me mixing there. So all I needed really to do was just shake up the catalyst, the little pink bottle, mix it well with what you see I'm mixing there, pour it on over, and yeah, that was a pretty easy part, the first part of the mold. After I waited the appropriate time that it said on the box for the first part of the mold to cure, it was quite a task to take everything apart. I had to take it all apart in order to be able to remove the monster clay that had hardened up. But I really think it created a lot of problems because when I rebuilt the mold box, it wasn't as snug against the existing silicone of the first mold. And you'll see the problem it creates in the end. I also think another issue, an error that I made was removing the birch ball from its original place. Um, I'm not really sure how I could have done it otherwise, but I have a feeling that created some issues. I also covered the entire top of the first silicone mold with Vaseline as I didn't want them to stick together once I poured the second mold. All right, so here's me starting the first part of the second mold mixing and getting ready to pour. And here is the heartbreaking event of the silicone pouring down the side into the first part of the mold because, as I mentioned earlier, I did not remake the mold box snug enough against the silicone. So yeah, that was really heartbreaking when I realized that happened. Okay, here is me just breaking down the mold box once everything had fully cured. You can see that it wouldn't come apart because, of course, the silicone had fused together, especially on that one side where the second part of the mold, the silicone ran all the way down the side into the first part of the mold. Here I'm just showing a really soft spot. Actually, it was gooey as an area that didn't cure. I'm guessing because I just didn't mix the catalyst and silicone good enough. Okay, so here I'm just showing the sides. Uh, it's really clear that the seams do not align well because of the issues that I had. And unfortunately, as a result, the concrete sphere has a big, thick line that's running around the middle. So I wanted to show you the finished product. This is my concrete sphere. I mentioned in the video that there was a thick line all the way around the middle. I sanded it down and painted it black. You can't really tell, but you can when you look up close. So overall, I thought it was a success for my first one ever. Now that I know how difficult two-part molds are, I won't be doing another one for a little bit of time until I get more experience underneath my belt. I have made a few more molds since then, which I will be posting those videos hopefully soon. I'm behind in all my postings. But otherwise, I hope this was helpful, and drop any comments or questions that you have down below. Thanks so much and see you soon.